Hi guys. We have two subtopics for today, and that would be the annual worth method and the IRR, or the internal rate of return method. So first, let's talk about the annual worth method. The annual worth method, the AW of a project is an equal annual series of dollar amounts for a stated study period that is equivalent to the cash inflows and outflows at an interest rate that is generally the MARR, or the MAR. Hence, the AW of a project is um, annual equivalent revenues or savings. Okay, wait. Annual revenues or savings represented by our R, and the annual equivalent expenses represented by E. Less its annual capital recovery. So that would be the CR, not the comfort room, but the capital recovery. Equivalent capital recovery na CR, CR amount, or capital recovery amount. Okay, recovery. And of course, we have the annual equivalent value of RE and CR is computed for the study of N period, which is usually in years, ang N. And we have here an equation na AW equals R minus E minus CR. So we discussed that here. Also, we need to notice that ang AW of a project is equivalent to its PW and FW. So the AW of the project is equivalent to its PW, present worth, and the FW, which is the future worth. Okay, so pwede na to siya isulat dayon as AW, PW, A over P, I percent N, and AW is, since kaniman siya, no? Atong, I mentioned earlier that it is equivalent to its future and present worth. So, therefore, we have this functional notation. Okay, so hence, it can be easily computed for a project from these other equivalent values. So as long as ang AW nimo is evaluated at the MAR is greater than or equal to 0, the project is economically attractive. Otherwise, no, or it's not. An AW of 0 means nga, if nakimakuha nga AW of 0, it means that it means that an annual return exactly equal to the MAR has been earned. Exactly. So many decision makers prefer the AW method because it is relatively easy to interpret when they are accustomed to working with an annual income statements and cash flow summaries. So we have, of course, ang decision rule nato, no? If the project is economically justified, mo na siya ang rule niya. So I is equal to MAR. Ang AW is greater than or equal to 0. Okay? Next. Of course, it should be taken note pud no nga the CR amount, or capital recovery amount for a project is the equivalent uniform annual cost of the capital invested. So it is an annual amount that covers the following two items. What are these two items? First is the loss in value of the asset, okay, and second is the interest on the invested capital. Okay, and well, there are several convenient formulas by which pwede nato i-compute or calculate ang CR amount to obtain ang results sa table in the next slide. I will show you. But the easiest formula to understand involves finding the annual equivalent of the initial capital investment and then subtracting it siya, initial capital investment and subtracting it to the annual equivalent of the salvage value. So naata ani nga equation, this equation. So well, you can also compute ang CR amount. There are alternative ways kani, but this is the easiest na formula para mag-compute sa CR amount. So I is the initial investment for the project. Okay, and we also have BS. BS is the salvage or market value at the end of the study period. N is the project study period. I hope by now you know nganong gitawag na to siya study period. Na-mention siya sa first part. Okay, but understandable man po siya. So project study period ang N. So we have N here. This is the period, the salvage market value. This is the initial investment for the project. Sige, let's I'll show you the table. This is the table na gigamit to nga equation, si 5-1. Is it 5-1? No? And this contains the calculation of equivalent annual CR amount. So, of course, on the leftmost na atay mga years. And then, naakay value of investment at the beginning of year. And then, uniform loss in value on the third column. Then, the interest on the beginning of year nga na I is equal to 10% interest, and the CR amount for year, a CR amount for year. So here CR at 10% is mo ni siya ang computation niya, PW, present worth of CR amount at I equal to 10%. Appeal po siya sa pag-compute. So you have here the CR amount. Okay, and then ang imong factor, ang imong factor. So you will arrive with this answers here. So change ra nimo sa per period niya, which is the year, 10%, given na siya, no? And so by substituting the CR I percent, ang interest niya, expression of our equation, katong CR equation, katong CR nga formula, makakuha ta ani if i-substitute to nimo siya sa AW. So, AWI percent R minus E, then I, and the salvage na kuan nimo, computation. And then, you will also arrive, ang CR cost nimo is say 10%, so this one here, simplify, you will have 2,310. 2,310. That's the one nga naa sa ubos sa table, sa lower bottom part sa table. With 8,758 katong total sa table sa PW of CR amount. Kung i-total nimo ang 5 years naa siya'y nakabutang dito na 8,758, right? So, with CR, 10%, yeah, so same ra pud siya. CR post, okay. And, next. Okay, so, we have an example. Example 5-8, okay? So using AW or the annual worth to evaluate the purchase of new equipment. Example 5-1 revisited. So this is, you can see this on top sa screen on the slide. So that would be ang problem given at given aning ang 5-1. So, by using the AW method and ang equation 5-4, equation 5-4 is the, yeah, so this example is using AW to evaluate the purchase of new equipment, no? And then, so may mga given na to diri, 25K, yes, this is the investment cost. Equipment will have a market value of 5K at the end of 5 years, and then ang imong 8K per year nga attributable, productivity attributable, okay, na subtract na, okay, and more na 20%. Okay, so AW method. The solution would be, of course, take note na to ang formula for the AW na, is this correct? R minus E minus I plus ang salvage or market value. Okay, so ligyon sa niya, si R minus E is the 8K. If you can recall, ang 8K niya is subtracted na dira ang mga revenue generated by the additional production. So that is, the 8K is represent na sa R minus E ang 8K automatically. And then you will also notice nga sa 5-5 na equation, this is equation 5-5, no? I, AP, I percent, N, S, A over F, I percent, N. So with that, mao na ni siya here. Okay, so you have the 25K nga investment cost and ang 5K nga market value or imong salvage value. So simplifying that one, you will arrive with this equation. Of course, again, and natano ani nga chapter. So by now, mag-look up na lang mo sa table so that you will get unsay equivalent factor ani niya factor formula. Replace that compute that factor, multiply siya sa katong given niya nga value kanina dere, or the value before ang factor, and then simplify. So you will have 312.40. Okay, so 312.40. Now, because it's AW, 20% is positive, no? Wait lang. Kay ang more manggod na given sa 5-1 is 20%. So here, AW 20% positive, the equipment more than pays for itself over a period of 5 years. While earning at 20%, napagid siya, earn pagid siya og return per year on the unrecovered investment. In fact, the annual equipment surplus is 312.4, which means that the equipment provided more than a 20% return on the beginning of the year unrecovered investment. So this piece of equipment should be recommended as an attractive investment opportunity. Okay. Also, we can confirm that AW 20% is equivalent to PW 20%. With ang PW no is na 20% is 934.29. And ang future worth niya na computation pod nato on one of our examples that revisited pod ang 5-1 is 2,324.8. So, a 20%, kani siya to gamiton, present worth niya 934, for future FW is 2,100. Compute that one, same naman siguro og kanang given dere. Ang kani siya ha, of course, different ang factors. 312 and 312.14, which is equal repeat siya. So, yeah. Okay, next. Now, we have here an example of about the equivalent uniform annual cost of a corporate jet. So, a corporate jet costs 1,350,000 and will incur 200,000 per year in fixed costs, maintenance, licenses, insurance, and hangar rental. Okay. Na ay $277 nga rate, that is per hour, and variable cost na fuel, pilot, expense, etc. The jet will be operated for 1,200 hours. Uniform na lang niya da nga naka-hours siya. Per year for 5 years and then sold for $650,000. The MAR is 15% per year. Okay, so determine the capital recovery cost of the jet and what is the EUAC of the jet. What do you mean by EUAC? Now, when revenues are absent, we designate this metric as EUAC. Ay percent na siya, no? Pasabot ana, we call it the equivalent uniform annual cost. So, muna siya ang EUAC. So, a low-valued EUAC is preferred to a high-valued EUAC. So, dapat gamay ato makuha na value niya. Okay, let's move. Solution. Our CR is kani siya, capital recovery pa lang da ang ato i-compute. Nanatay 306,310, and then the total amount of expense for the jet is the sum of the fixed cost and the variable cost. Okay, so that would be E equal to 200K nga fixed cost. Oo, 200K per year siya, no? Yeah. And gamito na to siya for 1,200 hours per year times 277 per hour nga rate niya. So that's 532,400. Now, kung mag-EUAC ka nga 15%, so 532, gamito na to ang E na to. Okay, and okay, sorry. So mo man ni ato na compute na total annual expense for the jet, no? which is the sum of the fixed cost and the variable costs. So si AUAC, makompute na to siya gamit ni ang atong E diri plus ang 306,310 na computed na to for CR. So that would be a total of 838,710. Okay. Another example. Okay, so this is this example, refer to this one here. This is determination of annual savings by using the AW method. So based on the example 5-2. So consider the retrofitted space heating system described in this example right here. Given the investment of $110,000 and market value of 8K, at the end of 6-year study period, what is the minimum annual electrical power savings in kWh? In kWh required to make this project economically acceptable. So, given ang MAR na 15% per year and naapot tayo rate sa electricity cost, which is 0.10 per kilowatt hour. Let's go to the solution. So, to make this project acceptable, the annual power savings must be at least as great as the annual CR amount. So, at least as great as the annual CR amount. So, natay 110 CR amount formula. 110 is our investment man, diba? And of course, the MAR and ang 6-year nga period. Magdidak ka ani sa kadtong market value niya nga 8K. So, same, and you will get 28,148.4. Now, this value, the 28K plus, is the minimum annual dollar savings needed to justify the space heating system. So, kung i-equate na to siya, may mo siya 28,148 over 0.10 katong rate niya, that would be 281,400 kilowatt hour per year. So, if the space heating, wait lang. Okay. So, if the space heating system can makasave siya of 281,480 kilowatt hour per year, 281,480 kilowatt hour per year, it is economically justified. So, exactly 15% is earned on the beginning of year unrecovered investment. Any savings, please note, take note, any savings greater than 281, okay, per year, such as ang original estimate na 300K, 300K kilowatt hour per year will serve to make this project even more attractive. Pag mo exceed pa ka ani sa savings na computed savings na to. So, mas economically attractive siya. Daghan din kay mga investor na pwede pa mag-invest sa imong project. Next. Okay, the IRR method. When you say IRR, it means the internal rate of return method. So, the IRR method is the most widely used rate of return method for performing engineering economic analysis. It's sometimes called by several other names such as ginatawag siya investor's method. Pwede po siya discounted cash flow method and profitability index. So this method solves for the interest rate that equates the equivalent worth of an alternative cash inflows, receipts, or savings to the equivalent worth of cash outflows. So may mga cash outflows, the expenditures, including investment costs. So the equivalent worth may be computed using any of the three methods discussed earlier. So the resultant interest rate is termed the IRR. Ano ni siya? The IRR, or the internal rate of return. Ang IRR is sometimes referred to as the break-even interest rate. Now, for a single alternative from the lender's viewpoint, katong mga nagpa-borrow or nagpahulang, ang IRR is not positive unless first, ang both receipts and expenses are present in the cash flow pattern. Kita siya. Ang second, the sum of receipts exceeds the sum of all the cash outflows. Of course, no, kung ikaw ang lender. Be sure to check both of these conditions in order to avoid unnecessary work involved in finding that IRR is negative. Okay? So, of course, pwede mo siya buhaton through visual inspection of the total net cash flow that will determine whether the IRR is 0 or less. Using a PW, ang present worth method nato na formulation, makita nato that IRR is the I% at which being described and reflected in this equation right here. So the RK here is the net revenues or savings for the K year. Because ang year kay ikat-K nga year. And the EK or E sub K dire is the net expenditure including any investment cost for the K nga year. N is the project life or study period. So we have an IRR decision rule, which is IRR is greater than or equal to MAR. Para makaingon ka so that you can conclude sa imong computations that the project is economically justified. So greater than or equal sa MAR. Okay. And okay, so this is a popular variation of katong equation 5-6, katong summation na atong gipakita sa previous slide, for computing the IRR for an alternative to determine the I prime at which its net PW, present worth, is 0. In equation form, the IRR is the value of I prime at which, so kana siya na formula. Okay, for an alternative, for an alternative with a single investment, investment cost at the present time followed by a series of positive cash inflows over N, a graph of PW, not a PW din, no? PW versus interest rate. Typically has the general convex form. Muna siya ang iyang dagan, muna siya ang iyang form. Okay, and the point at which ang PW mag-zero si PW the point at which PW is equal to 0 defines I prime percent, which is the project's IRR. The value of I prime can also be determined as the interest rate at which FW equal to 0 or AW equal to 0. Another way to interpret the IRR is through an investment balance diagram. So, let's show that one. Gani siya. Gani siya ang investment balance diagram showing the IRR. Kani siya na figure shows how much of the original investment Kung naka-initial investment diri nga P, imo initial investment na P, ginapakita diri on in an alternative is still to be recovered as a function of time. So the downward arrow represent annual returns. Kani siya ng mga arrow. Okay, naakay ko andara no kanina mga RK minus AK for 1 for 1 less than or equal to K less than or equal to N. Kaya nga conditions. Against the unrecovered investment. And the dashed lines, kanina mga dashed lines here, indicate the opportunity cost of interest or profit on the beginning of year investment balance. So the IRR is the value of I prime in this figure that causes the unrecovered investment balance to exactly equal 0 at the end of the study period. Mabalik siya sa 0. And thus represents the internal earning rate of a project. So, of course, it is important to notice that ang I prime percent nato is calculated on the beginning of year unrecovered. Okay? Anyway, beginning of year unrecovered investment through the life of a project rather than on the total initial investment. So, mag-matter siya. I think we have an example right here. So, it is about the economic desirability of a project using the IRR method. So, AMT is considering the purchase of the digital camera for the maintenance of design specifications by feeding digital pictures directly into an engineering workstations. Okay, where computer-aided design files can be superimposed over the digital pictures. Differences between the two images can be noted and corrections as appropriate can then be made by design engineers. Okay, good siya. The capital investment requirement is $345,000 and the estimated market value of the system after 6-year study period is $115,000. Annual revenues attributable to the new camera system will be $120,000, whereas the additional annual expenses will be $22,000. You have been asked by the management to determine the IRR of this project and to make a recommendation. Siguro kung paliton ba nila or mo purchase ba sila or not. The corporation's MAR is 20% per year. Solve first using linear interpolation. Okay. Okay, so by linear interpolation, we can easily see that the sum of positive cash flows, 835, wait lang. So, it says here nga, ang positive cash flow is 835,000. And exceeds the sum of negative cash flow, which is 455,000. Okay. So, gi-compute na niya daan. Thus, it is likely what a positive valued IRR can be determined by writing an PW of the project's total net flow net cash flow and setting it equal to 0, we can compute the IRR. Okay, so i-set to 0 na to. We have the PW no nga computation minus 345. Katong 345 is the capital investment requirement, and the 120 is the I think the annual revenues with the 22,000 na additional annual expenses for the 6 years, and okay, I prime percent. So we have here simplifying this one, positive ra siya, and wala pa tani. So to use linear interpolations, we need first to try a few values for I. A good starting point is to use MAR. Okay, so nag-mention siya MAR na 20% sa pang given. And at I prime na 20%, ang PW is, kung is-substitute nato siya, naakay 19,413. Okay? Okay. And since the PW is positive at 20%, no, we know that I is greater than 20% na dayon siya. So let's try the 25%. Now, at 25%, kung i-check, tanaw na to siya, kakuha ka nga factor, i-plug in lang ninyo mong 25% sa atong first equation na to, ani nga solution. So you will have this factor. So nakay negative 25,621. So naatay at 20 positive siya, at 25 negative siya. Now that we both have a positive and a negative PW, the answer is bracketed, o inganya na siya, meaning within ra sa iyaha, within ani nga range. The dash curve in 5-5, katong dash na to, katong no, this is not the one. Okay. Wala siya nakita. Okay, lahi siya. Sige. Wala na ko na siya na-show because we didn't tackle the wala na siya. Sorry ha. Wait lang. Oh, naa siya. It's included in my slide. Kuan pa. One more slide next to this. Sige, let's check na lang later. Ang dash curve in the next slide na figure is what we are linearly approximating. So, the answer, ang I% can be determined by using the similar, sige, let's try to look at nilang this one here. Money siya, si 20, within 20 to 25% ang atong range nagi-consider. Okay, now, si line BA, okay, line BA is line BA over line BC. Okay, mag-interpolate man ta. Line BA over line BE. Line BA. Ano to? Line BA and line BC. Line BA and line BE. Okay. Sige. Dali naman siya, no? I think okay ra siya. Sige, again. Line BA and line DA. Ano siya yung equivalent. Then, si line BC, parallel niya si line DE. So, ano lang siya. And then, here, BA is the segment B minus A. So, si BA, kani, is the B minus A equal to 25 minus 20%. So, naa kay kung kana naa kay 25 minus 20% over ang 19,413 nimo. 19,413 mo ni siyang na-compute na to sa I at 20%, okay? And what do you call that one? Minus ang negative katong 25 nimo. 25,621 is equal to percent minus 20% over 19,413 minus 0. So therefore, ang equivalent, ang makuha na itong value sa I is 22.16. Which is within sa range naman po yun siya, no? Because the IRR of the project nga is 22.16 and greater siya sa MAR, the project is acceptable. Na siya. So, pa ba? Okay, another example, 5-14. Do you know what your effective interest rate is? In 1915 daw, Albert Epstein allegedly borrowed 7,000 loan from a large New York bank on the condition that he would repay 7% of the loan every 3 months until a total of 50 payments had been made. At the time of the 50th payment, the $7,000 loan would be completely repaid. Albert computed his annual interest rate to be 0.07 nga naman kay 7%. Tapos 7K yung di-borrow. Times 4 kay every 3 months. No. 4 times 3, 12. That makes a year. Over 7K. What true effective annual interest rate did Albert pay? What if anything was wrong with his calculation? Then let's find out. Sige, do you know that wrong si Albert? Lang, sige. A is the true interest rate per quarter is found by equating the equivalent value of the amount borrowed to the equivalent value of the amounts repaid. Equating the AW amounts per quarter, we find ang true interest rate, no, per quarter. I-equate na to siya sa equivalent value of the amount. Okay. So, 7,000, gamit niya na to na formula. The I percent na to dari is the per quarter with 50 quarters and 0.077 per quarter. So, yes, kani siya nga factor is 0.07 and linearly interpolating to find the I percent na quarter per quarter nimo by using similar triangles is the next step. So, wait. Did I include here the triangles? Oh no, I didn't. Sige. I didn't. Sige, I'll try to draw it here. Wala ko lang siya na-appel. Dapat na ni siya yung mga names. Did you see? I think this is A. I hope I'm correct. This is I prime. This is 6% ang gigamit for 60%. Pila di atong mar? Ay, sorry. Pila ang interest involved? 7%. So, i-assume lang nato siya. 7% po diri. And, okay na ni siya. CDE, CDB. AP 657 within 6 to 7 na rate. Okay. And pag ang factors niya na compute na to ani, so natay 0.0634 and 0.725. Kung i-plot na nato siya ingani yan awong. Okay, so we can compute for the effective I% per year that Albert was paying by naman kay linear interpolation, just like what we did a while ago. So, muna siya, and line CD over line CB. DE, 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 BD, CD, CB. Wait. DE, BA. Sorry, and CD, okay. Sige. Ano siya? So, naakay, sumpay ani is nakay 7 minus I prime over 7 minus 6%, which is equal to 0.0725, okay, minus 0.07 over 0.0725 minus 0.0634. And that is I equal to 7 minus 1%, 0.025. Kung is-simplify na nimo ang equation sa taas, 91. And you will get I prime percent na 6.73 per quarter. I prime is 6.73% per quarter. So, we can compute na the effective I% per year na gi-compute ni Einstein. After ana, unsa naman dayon? Unsa na to siya compute? So, nakay sorry, it's here. Mo ni siya. We can compute mo ni siya ang formula. So, that would be 30% per year. 30% per year. Next is, do you know what your effective interest rate is? Solution letter B. Sorry, no, distract ko. So, even though, unsay question sa B, what if anything was wrong with his calculation? Sa'yo pa yung calculation. Hindi siya ang mag-suffer. Anyway, even though Albert's answer of 28%, okay, 28% man di ay, and then we computed the 30% na close nga koan. 28%, his calculation is insensitive to how long his payments were made. For instance, he would get 28% and 2050 quarterly payment. For the true effective interest rate, just read it by your own. And for 74 dividends, 31% per year. As more payments are made, the true effective rate being charged by the bank will increase, but other than will not reveal by how much. That's correct. Mo na ma-appreciate nato ni na method. Kaysa simple computation lang na gibuhat ni Albert, no? Tama ni siya nga. Iyang explanation here. As more payments are made, murag ang insensitive man gud na computation kung unsa ka taas ang ginabayaran. Dako ba ang difference if you consider that? ang iyarang computation is 7 times 4 over 7. Nabayay dapat 50 payments until a total of 15 big payments had to be paid. Hmm. Yeah. So, although close lang siya. Yeah. You can read it on your own pace. I think masabtan ra pod ang explanation niya. So, IRR. That's IRR, and this topic is about the annual worth method and the internal rate of return method. Anyway, that's the end. Thank you.